Welcome to the Lara Jane Layton Show. This podcast is for you, the person who keeps putting others first. Your self-talk has held you back. You no longer need to take a second seat. Let's explore ways to overcome self-doubt. You can silence that inner bully voice and achieve your full potential. Here's your host, Lara Jane.
Hello, friend. I am so excited to introduce you to my new friend, and her name is Felicity. And we have been chatting, and I am so excited for you to hear from her. She is amazing. And what I like is it's so aligned with the messages that you have gotten over the months that we've been doing this. And it's how to listen to your inner guidance and then learn how to talk to ourselves in that supportive voice. I usually use friendly, but really it's supporting us on our journey and allowing our guides to help us know where to go. All the information about Felicity is in the show notes, and I know you're going to want to check her out. So check out the show notes. But Felicity, help us understand how to tune in to that inner guidance and really start being our best self.
Well, thanks so much, Lara Jane. I really appreciate that. And like you said, I teach about the inner guidance system. And this is something that I really love because it can help us to better understand, so many things. But in this particular subject, learning how to change our own internal dialogue and to create supportive language towards ourselves and things like that. And the challenge too is we don't always know that we're having this, dialogue with ourselves. We don't realize that we're speaking negatively. In fact, it was interesting because I did some research on this recently. And the report said that 80% of our thoughts are negative. I mean, I couldn't even believe that. And so if you're thinking about first of all, manifestation, right? So if 80% of our thoughts are negative and we're using our thoughts to manifest, then are we really manifesting the things that we want to manifest? And also if you're talking about the power and energy of those words, in, Dr. Emoto, I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he did experiments on water and rice to show the power of, those words and that we're speaking those words to ourselves, right? And so the power of those words are affecting us. But then how do we know that we're doing that? How do we realize that we're even speaking negatively or we're not speaking in a supportive way towards each other? And so that's what I really love about using the internal guidance system, because it helps me to know not only when I'm doing that, but how to change my language so that I'm creating supportive, empowering language towards myself instead of negative, destructive language. So yeah, I'm super excited about sharing all of that.
You say that, and one of the thoughts that comes to my mind is we all have been raised culturally different or in different households and in different things. And what works for me, a word that is going to help me progress, may not be the right words for another person. Yeah. And so it really is understanding your guidance and taking what we say as suggestion and then test it. Try it out because you will know. I use the word love. Mm-hmm. I know that word makes some people just cringe.
Yeah.
And they just I remember before having a child, I hated that word. I didn't know what it meant. And that transition of 22 hours of labor, and at the end, I knew what love was. It's and so realize that I may preach a certain way, but you need and to understand that yours can be different and you can be, it's a guide, it's an idea, it's a suggestion.
Yeah. Yes. And that's why I love using like our own inner guidance for that, because it's yours, because it's your own, I call it inner guidance or your inner guidance system, but it's essentially the voice of your soul communicating with you. It is you communicating with you, right? And so when you're listening to it and your inner guidance says like this word is in alignment with me or isn't in alignment with me, that's you, like that's your alignment. And so it's not me telling you like the words that you should be saying or the things that you should be saying to yourself. It's your own inner guidance saying that this is what's in alignment with me. This is what feels good. This is what feels supportive. This is what feels not supportive or not good or not in alignment. And that you're getting in alignment with your own beingness.
I love that.
You're getting in alignment with your own truth.
Because we all have our own truth, our own experiences, our own things that we've been here for. And it's our job to let those experiences happen. I can't change you.
Yeah.
I can support, I can be a friend, but there's no power I have to change anybody other than me.
And that's all we really should be doing too. I mean, you know, we're, as a society, we're so busy trying to like, you know, change and manipulate others and think, well, you know, your belief or your whatever is wrong. And it's like, no, if we are learning how to be responsible for ourselves, that's really the big piece. Because if we can manage and be responsible for ourselves, the way that we act in the world, the way that we talk to ourselves, the way that we talk to others, that personal responsibility is what's really going to change the world, not us trying to dictate how others should be behaving or what things that they should be saying or doing.
Yeah, my favorite thing to tell people when they're like, that needs to be our law. And I go, you cannot legislate love. You cannot enforce kindness. It's not going to happen. We have to be our own people that make that change.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and the highest frequency is love. And so we're really all aspiring towards, you know, moving towards that like place of enlightenment, that place of like spiritual growth and transformation. But that is our own journey and our own connection towards the highest frequencies, towards love, loving ourselves, loving others, you know, and that unconditional, like just love.
You know, there's that meme out there, and there's probably other places too, where it says, if talking to your plant helps the plant grow stronger, why not talk to ourselves in that same kind, loving, supportive way?
Yes, absolutely. You know,
oh, it only works for plants, not people.
Yeah, and that's why, you know, I love Dr. Emoto and the tests that he did with the rice and the water, and you have to really go look that up because it's fantastic, the things that he had discovered about those words and about the power of them, you know. And he would essentially, like if you take the rice experiment, he'd take cooked rice and then he would put different words and say those words, you know, to them. And the cooked rice that had, you know, like no words didn't really do a whole lot, but the cooked words that had all the negative words like decomposed. It started rotting and getting real nasty. And then the rice that had all the loving, supportive words, like stayed healthy and fresh and lovely, like you could still consume it, you know? And so it's really fascinating, just like the power of the words. And like you said, like how it affects our plants. If we're saying those words to the plants and the plants are thriving and growing, or if we're saying negative words, right, and that plant is dying, I mean, what do you think is happening to yourself? Like all the things, all the self-talk that we have like 24 hours a day, and how we're, you know, belittling ourselves and putting ourselves down all the time, you know, you got to realize that that energy that we're putting towards ourselves is either destroying us or lifting us up.
Yes. I so agree. And for the listener, you don't even have to go look it up. It's in the show notes. So just check it out there. You can find this rice and water thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Please do. Please do. And his other experiment with water and water crystals was just fantastic. So
We're going to love looking at it because I have not read that yet.
Oh, please do. Please do. And so, yeah, I mean, it's so powerful, paying attention to these things because like I said, we're, 80% of our thoughts are negative, and those thoughts are negative towards ourself generally. And so it's about learning how to pay attention to that and wanting to change that.
So Felicity, how do I know which voice is talking to me? Because I have this, you have multiple responses in your head. No, that's not true. No, that could be true. No, I was like, I don't want to do, you have all these things. How do we silence those enough where we can hear that real guide that we should be listening to?
Yeah, it can be pretty simple. If it doesn't feel like it, don't get me wrong. The process may not be simple, but it really comes down to like fear. Like a lot of our voices, our internal thoughts, and our internal processes relate to fear, fears and anxieties, what's going to happen. Maybe you should do this. This is wrong, or our conditioned, viewpoints and things like that, things that we learned, as a child, voices from our parents or other adults. And so, we'll notice those things, but if we break them down very simply and we go, well, is this a voice that is, lifting me up, or is this a fear-based voice? And most voices that we can eliminate from being a fear-based voice or an anxiety-based voice. And then we're left with the high vibrational lifting you up voices. So if you take it to that as simply as, because I like to make things as simple as possible, because otherwise it's too much for me. So if you do that, that will help a lot.
I've always looked for the one that doesn't cause me more anxiety. I sit there and I think through which one gives me the most peace, which one feels the best. And I still doubt it. I still question it. And I'll use multiple different tools to figure out to validate my choice. I think this is the right one. And so, I would love to get better at trusting it right off the bat.
Right. I know. And so that's one of the things that I also really like about this inner guidance. So we all have this inner guidance system because, we are essentially like energetic beings. We're souls, right? Having this human physical experience. And so as these energetic beings, we have energetic senses, just like we have physical senses for our physical body. We have energetic senses for our energetic body. And these energetic senses are always picking up information. They're picking up energetic information, and we are interpreting that information. And so this inner guidance is a combination of our feeling sense and our knowing sense. And it's letting us know the things that are either in alignment or out of alignment for us. So this feels, so I'm going to simplify it. This feels good, or it doesn't feel good, and that's why I like to keep things as simple as possible, because the other thing is too much. And so you go ahead.
No, I was just going to say there's always that hell yes and that hell no. But it's when it's in the middle that I get confused.
Yes. And that's one thing about the inner guidance, is that when it is in the middle and you're not getting the feedback that you're looking for, sometimes it's because the answers that you're looking for don't matter as much. And what I mean by that is that you have free will. And that choice, the outcome is okay. Like it's okay either way. Like you're stressing for no reason, and so just kind of let it go. Like make a choice, don't be in that like in between place of like, I can't make a choice. Just make a choice the other way. It doesn't really matter. So if you're not getting feedback from your inner guidance, if you don't have a hell yes or a hell no, or some clarity one way or another, then just make a choice. because being in limbo is the worst.
Yes. When we were talking before we started recording, we were talking a little bit about how we've changed throughout our lives and how, we were on a path and then we made a change and we moved on. And what I liked about that conversation was allowing ourselves to progress. Had I not been through that first experience, I may not have been ready for this one. So say you're in the corporate world today, which most likely you are, and you're feeling like called to another direction, but there's security. There's a process. Don't feel bad for being where you're at. That was your stepping stone. Yeah. Allow yourself to make the changes that you're being prompted to change, but don't feel bad for the changes or the choices you've made. Those choices were your stepping stones. Those choices were the things that got you ready for your next step. Is that your last step? I hope not. I hope you keep growing and you go to the next one and the next one. We're going to call it leveling up.
Yes, I love that. I love it. And it's true because, I'm 53 now and I'm just figuring things out. Like if I had been disappointed about all my choices, that would have not, given credit to all the journeys that I went through in my life to get where I am now. I have the wisdom, I have the experiences, I have all the things that I needed because I went through all those things, and that I'm finally starting to figure things out now. But the whole journey was a process of picking up pieces of information that I needed along the way to get me here.
Yeah, I have been on plenty of stepping stones to move me to where I am today. I had another friend that I worked with. She calls it reinventing myself. And in my mind, I like to include all this stuff from before. Because when I think reinvent, I think all the other stuff goes away. No, I am now a fuller me because I have new experiences. I have new things. I don't have to reinvent. I just get to keep building.
Yeah. And then that's the journey too. I mean, we are here to have, our spiritual journey and to discover ourselves and, and to listen to our path. Right. And so sometimes a part of our path is, not knowing any of the things. Right. And then finally tapping in and going, wow, I really have these deep desires and I really want to start to live this new life or do these things differently. And so what do I do now? And it's this whole big 180 change, but that's okay. It's the whole thing is your journey. The whole point from your birth to, then our inevitable, passing from this, physical experience. Yeah. It's about the whole journey. It's about the whole experience. And it's about learning how to really tap in and what is it that you want to do? What is it that you want to be here to experience? One of the things that I realized that I wanted to do in this lifetime was to be a parent, and I just knew if this is my one life, that I want to have that experience, and so I took a break from all the work and all the things that I was doing. And many people would say, well, you were just getting going with your business, and why would you want to take a break from your business to do something completely different? But it's about experiencing things in life, and it's about fulfilling the desires and joys and things within you that you want to do. And so if your journey looks all zigzaggy and crazy and up and down or whatever because you're making different choices, so be it.
I think it was you I told this to, but there's all these different paths. You can go from your hometown to the next state over to another city, and you can take the freeway. You can take the fast, quick route, or you can take the scenic route. And I am one that enjoys the scenic route. I don't need to get there fast. I'm going to experience each day of my life as it's going to be my last day. Like, what would I do today if it was my last day? And I've got a episode out there that's called The Last Hour. Like, if you only had an hour, what choice would you make on this? Because we're overthinking things. So you have an hour. Make a choice.
Yeah, absolutely. There's actually, I think, an article or video about somebody that interviewed those that are in retirement homes that are like in their 90s and hundreds or whatever, and, their biggest regrets, and what were they? And it really came down to, I wish that I had stressed about everything less, and I wish that I had just, paid attention to, the relationships in my life and doing the things that I loved doing, and the things that were significant to me and that my soul longed for. Like, those are the things, and just let go of all the stress, let go of all the expectations or the shoulds or the pressures, and just live a joyful life,
I think it's Esther Hicks.
Yeah.
That talks about the floating down the river.
Yes.
Our lives should be like you're on a tube in the water and you're just going down. I think he uses boat, but we're just going down the road to the river and we're just let it flow.
Yeah.
But you see all these people in life paddling upstream. I don't want to go there. I don't want to go there. Or paddling across to avoid things. If you just let go, the destination that you're supposed to arrive at will come your way. And we don't have to fight for it. And it just is like, oh, this experience I'm having right now is what was meant to be. It's on my river. It's on my float by. And I'm going to go to the next destination and the next one. And I don't have to fight so hard to get there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's the thing too, is you want to get in that place of following the things that feel good to you, letting go of the things that aren't in alignment with you, and just trusting and listening to the universe and taking those like steps of faith. And I don't mean like faith in necessarily a religious sense, but just faith in the unknown, in the, I am getting this information and I am trusting that this information is in alignment with me and I am taking that step into the unknown. And so when you start getting into that place of doing those things, then you are in that flow state, and that life becomes easier because the things that you desire, the intentions that you put out there start coming to you. The universe gets in alignment with you and starts giving you the intentions that you put out there. The thoughts that you're putting out, right? You're drawing those things to you. So you need to be aware of that as well, and making sure that you're using your inner guidance also to notice like those thoughts and feelings so that you know what's in alignment with you, so you can go, this feels good. I'm going to follow the things that feels good. This doesn't feel good. I'm going to shift either my course of action or my thought process from that.
I love it. I fight. I've spent a lifetime of fighting, and it feels so good to let go.
Yeah.
So we need to take a quick break. We're going to get a word from our sponsor, and we're going to come back. I want to keep talking about how can we listen to our guidance and feel safe to let go. So we'll be right back.
This podcast is sponsored by Lara Jane Coaching. You know you're ready to silence your inner bully voice. Let Lara Jane support you with coaching. To schedule an introduction call, go to larajanelayton.com.
All right, Felicity, how do I feel safe in letting go? I like the seatbelt. I want to go on the roller coaster ride with a really strong, lap bar so I don't lose my footing. Or this is life. Our life is a roller coaster. It is not consistent. It's not a too boring. We get to go. We get to climb and we get to accelerate. And how do we trust that process?
Mm. Yeah. No, absolutely. Well, I think that it really comes down to like feeling and knowing the truth of it, because when you have that reaction in your body, like when you feel like a hell yes or a hell no or whatever, right? You viscerally feel that like in your beingness. And then for an example, let's say I don't listen. Let's say I've chosen not to listen, which I've done in my life plenty of times, and you don't. And then you get that feedback. Wow, I really should have listened. And for me, I got enough feedback many times that like really reaffirmed, okay, this guidance thing is a thing. Like it really is guiding me, and it really is telling me like what to do or what not to do in any given point, or also like what is the internal dialogue? Like, is my internal dialogue positive and in alignment with me or not in alignment with me? And I'm getting that same kind of feedback. This is a hell yes, this is a hell no, or whatever, right? And so I continue to get that feedback and realizing, okay, this is a thing. It really is giving me feedback. And if I don't follow it, there's consequences in my life. And when I do follow it, my life gets better. It gets easier. Like you're saying, you're flowing down the river and things are feeling easy. Things are coming to you. Things are in alignment. Opportunities are coming to you. You know what I mean? And so the more you like listen to your guidance and things get easier, that reaffirms the safety, the safety of making those choices, or the lack of safety of not making those choices, right? If I'm not listening, then things don't go well. And so I really, start to notice that like, okay, this is what I need to do, because what's going to be safe is really honoring that truth in me, that guidance is telling me that these things are really in alignment with me or not in alignment with me. And the more that I trust that, the better my life gets, the freer my life gets, the better I feel, the more I'm in that flow state.
Wow. That trust can be kind of hard. Yeah. And I know that when I first started trying to be better at paying attention to that inner voice, I would I would say this out loud, literally. All right, I hear you. I'm going to go with faith. I don't know why you're wanting me to do this, but I'm in. And I would just do it. And then you're just kind of like, I don't know. Let's see how it turns out. It never let me down. I may have gotten to the end and gone, that wasn't what I expected. But it always had a positive result. May not be what I thought I was going after, but it was always positive.
Yeah. And I think that's really the thing too. Like, we don't always know what's best for us, right? We have a certain agenda of what we think would be awesome, and we'd really like that. But we don't always know what's the best thing for us because we don't have that higher vantage point, right? We are in these physical bodies having this human physical experience. And so our perspective is limited. And so when things happen that maybe aren't exactly like what we were wanting, but if we really tap into it, we'll realize, like, you know what? This is actually better than, I anticipated, or this is actually leading me. It's funny because I was talking to a client the other day, and, we were talking about the same thing too. And she was talking about that she was wanting to get in, she's interested in acting, but she's wanting to do some plays and things like that. And I'm like, and I'm teaching her how to follow her, inner guidance system and how it works. And so she goes to the theater, right? And tries to get in for a play, and she gets a role, but it wasn't the role that she was trying out for, right? And so she was kind of feeling disappointed. Like, I was really excited about this whole thing, and this role I'm not so happy about. And I'm like, But this is how you follow your inner guidance, because maybe it's not about the role. Maybe it's about making connections there, or maybe it's about that particular role, but you're going to learn certain things in that role that are going to help you in your life, like, and it's about like having that open willingness to just go forth, and see what's going to happen and what's going to come of that, because you never know, like for me, my inner guidance, and you'll think this is hilarious. My inner guidance one time told me, you need to go like crochet a hat and give it to the bagger of that store. And I'm like, why? That is just the weirdest thing I have ever been told to do by my inner guidance. And so I'm like, all right, I'll do it. And I go and I give it to them and I walk away, and I don't know what happened. I don't know how it affected that person. But the point is, are you going to do it anyway? Like, are you going to take those steps and listen and move forward and have that steps of faith towards those things? Because when you do, and this too, like the universe gives you like the first step, right? And you have to be willing to take that step. And so it's the same thing with your inner guidance. Like, take that step and do it and see what happens.
You bring up a point, and I got a point out of what you said, and it wasn't. But I was thinking about this and I'm going, yeah, that makes like so much sense. The reason I might not want to do that is because I would be so worried about what that person was going to think. Mm-hmm. And what was that person? Were they going to go, you're an idiot? What are you giving me this for? Or why'd you make this? I don't need a hat. And guess what? That's why we don't do half the stuff that we're inspired to do, is we are afraid of being judged by somebody else. Well, if I did that, the neighbors would hate my backyard. Like, right. Like you find all these reasons to discount because of somebody else. And those promptings are not for them. They are for you. And you follow through, and it may just be the test to see if you're going to do it. But I could see when you're telling that story, I'd go, oh, that would be so hard to follow through with. But it's exactly the reason my guide would tell me to do it. Because I have got to get over caring how somebody else responds to my kindness.
Exactly. And I think exactly that was the point. It was a test. Are you going to listen to your own fears and insecurities, or are you going to step blindly into the unknown and do what you were called to do? And so that's what I had to do. And I had a client too, and she's, trying to figure out things about like buying a bed, right? And so she's trying to use her inner guidance, to do this. And as we worked through like the whole process of listening to her inner guidance, what she realized was that she knew the answer, that what her inner guidance was saying, but she didn't want that answer. So that's another thing too. Like you can hear or know what your inner guidance is telling you, but then you're like, nope, like that's not it. Like, give me a different answer, And so we don't always listen because either we're too afraid or we don't like the answer that we're hearing. We don't like what we're being told. And so, we have to pay attention to these things.
And as you grow and learn more about you and you start trusting it, I took a lot of what other people would say I needed to do as that is the way you're supposed to be. And when you are in a situation with tons of other negative people, I kind of always heard you're supposed to walk away. Just get out of it. Just let it go. Just, and I tried it. Guess what? That's not my mission. My mission's not supposed to be to walk away. My mission's to sit there and love that person anyway. Love the test that I'm going through. love the experience that I'm having and allow it. And as I go to follow what's right for me, and everybody has that. This is just a sample of what it could be. But I don't walk away from negative situations. I may avoid them to start with. But if I found myself in it, my choice is to stay and radiate as much love as I possibly can. Because most of the people in this world are just in pain.
Yeah.
And we are here. I am here to heal hearts.
I love that. I love that. Yeah. And I think that is so valuable that you share that, because we really have to know what our differences are. Like some of us, like you say, it's better to walk away. It's better to get out of that toxic situation. It's better to take care of yourself, and to honor yourself. Others, it's about staying in that situation and spreading the love and learning the lesson and walking through the lesson. Or there may be other paths. And so, really tapping in and finding out what is it that I need to do in this moment? What is the best course of action in this moment? And tapping in, we're so programmed, because being, human physical beings, right, to go first to our intellect, and to solve things with our minds, but that gets really convoluted. And so learning I need to go inward. I'm going to go inward. I'm going to tap in. What am I feeling? What is my truth in this situation? How do I need to act? How do I need to respond? And how does that resonate with me? And the more we kind of slow down and really tap into these answers, you'll find that we get those answers, that we get that information that we're looking for. And then when you run it through your inner guidance system, does this feel right to me? Does this feel like the right thing to do? Then you get that hell yeah, or hell no, or, whatever. You get that affirmation. And that's why I love the inner guidance too, because you can get that affirmation for the guidance that you're receiving, and then know, that guidance is in alignment with me, or these actions or these things that I need to do are in alignment with me, or whatever. It gives you that.
And the thing is it can change daily. Yeah. It's today's message may be different than tomorrow. It does not mean today's message is wrong. It means that's what I was supposed to do today. And so trusting and allowing the change in directions. This isn't the freeway to the next the next city over. This is the route of inspiration. What way? Where am I supposed to walk? Where am I supposed to be for sharing the light that I've been given the most? And whether everybody's is different. Don't take my experience for anybody else's. Yours is unique. Yours is different. We are all on our own soul path here. We have our contracts of what we want to learn, and our guides are going to continually put us in those situations because that's what we asked for.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love that. Yeah. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to be our unique selves, and we get so caught up too on thinking we have to be like everybody else, keep up with the Joneses and do all the things and be like that person and whatever. And, our whole society is built around, we need to be like everyone else. But ultimately what we need to be like is ourselves. And we need to be our unique selves, that inner beingness, that inner truth inside of us. And you can find that inner self, just spend, I know we don't always like to be quiet within ourselves, but if you go inward and spend some time just observing, who is that self that's thinking? Who is the self that's having the thoughts? And be present with that beingness of self in that now space. You're going to tap into the true you, and that true you, that beingness, that conscious awareness that you are, is going to give you all that information that you're looking for. Those hell yeses and hell nos and all the information of what's in alignment with you, or also like your path and, your purpose and like all the things, because that information is a part of like your soul and it's a part of your journey. So the more that you're tapping into and listening, the more you're going to get not only in alignment with everything, but you're going to tap into your whole purpose without even having to know what your purpose is. Like, you don't even have to intellectually know. You're just going to be guided towards it because you're listening, because you're following, and because you're trusting it.
And everything that we've said, I'm like, hell yeah, this is right. I agree. But I also want to caution that we have our own paths and we cannot judge somebody else's past.
No.
We're going to wonder, we're going to do all that, but you can't judge it. You've got to allow everybody their own experiences. And if you think you should have taken the shortcut and the other person's taken the long road, don't judge them for them. That was the experience they were meant to be. I have a really good friend. Her mom was very bipolar and very cruel. And the way she explains it is, my mother lowered her light to teach me these lessons.
Yeah. In my life, I have had a lot of suffering. I've had a lot of suffering between being in a motorcycle accident and losing my leg at a very young age to, being in a lot of toxic relationships. I've been having a lot of physical pain. I'm in pain, 24/7. And, it's really easy to get into that victim mentality, that perspective, we were talking about the language, that we speak to ourselves, right? And how like I can be in that victim space of, this isn't fair, or the way that I'm being treated, or all these different things like that. But what I realized a long time ago, like especially right out of my accident, is that when I can learn the lesson, at least for me, when I can learn the lesson from that experience, the gift that's bringing, that suffering is actually bringing me a pearl, and finding that pearl, but also at the same time, really paying attention to how I'm spinning my perspective of the reality, right? Because there's a truth, there's a reality, right? And I can spin it like, like I'm the victim of a terrible accident, and all these things happen to me and poor me or whatever. But then I'm living in a very low vibrational perspective, and so it's about learning to shift my own language towards myself and learning how can I spin the story and not spin the truth. I'm not saying that you're changing the truth of the situation, but I'm changing my vantage point from where I'm viewing the perspective. So instead of seeing myself as a victim in these situations, I'm shifting my internal story to, look at, this was part of my journey. This was part of my path. These are the lessons that I needed to learn, because all the things that I learned, I was able to help others with this. And so when I start to shift that story, then the negativity that I was feeling, the associations that I was feeling with it begin to shift. And then I start shifting into that higher vibrational perspective of learning the lesson from that and gaining the pearl from that, and also letting go of the negative story. And so it's really learning about, doing that. And you can also do that through your internal guidance system too. When you run those stories through you and you feel like how that story feels to you, if that story feels bad, that's your inner guidance telling you, nope, that story is not in alignment with you. And then you keep on running different stories through you. And I'm not saying that these stories are false. I'm telling you just different vantage points of the story, of the truth. And you keep on changing the vantage point till one brings you like that breath of fresh air, like that, can breathe again. The anxiety is gone. I feel like my energy is levitating more. I feel more in alignment. I have that, yeah, that feels like my truth. That feels right. And that's how you can also use your inner guidance system to shift those stories into that high vibrational perspective.
Yeah, don't wish your life away. I wish I had had different parents. I understand that you wish that it wouldn't have been as tough, but let's talk about what you gained.
Yeah.
And I also want to bring up, what is a pearl?
Okay.
A pearl.
So, to me, this is what it means to me. Essentially, like, and I was talking about like all the difficulties in my life and all the challenges, right? And so in my accident, for an example, there was a lot of like terrible things that I could say that were happening, but really there were a lot of beautiful things, and the pearl is those beautiful things. And the beautiful things are the lessons. They're the wisdom that I gained, or the connections that I made, or the love that I felt to myself, or, whatever. It's the things that are bringing me peace, that are making me feel more aligned, that are helping people, that are helping myself. So yeah, it's the lessons and the gifts. Those are the pearls.
I love it, because this is how I look at it. The sand that got in the oyster is the crap that has happened to us.
Yes.
It's uncomfortable. It's not fun. But as we learn to love it, we coat it with this beautiful covering. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, the pointy things that were digging in our side are covered up.
Yeah.
And it grows. And all of a sudden you have this beautiful pearl.
Yeah.
It didn't just happen. It had to start from discomfort. And as we look at our lives, if you can look at the crap that happened as that grain of sand that was embedded in you, and your experiences and your love for that experience is going to polish it and build this beautiful covering around it, so there's no longer any pain.
Yeah. Well, if you look at people who have led like really challenging lives, like extremely challenging lives, it's those people that have like an amazing amount of wisdom and perspective, that they, like I had a choice in my accident. I had a choice that I could be a victim and live a victim life and act like a victim, or I could see the lesson and walk the light, and accept those things. And, and I always told myself, and nobody wants to hang out with me if I'm being a victim, that's not any fun. But ultimately, I realized that the only thing that was going to help me to survive, like the amount of suffering and pain that I went through, was shifting my perspective to that lesson and seeing the lesson and accepting that lesson, because it's those lessons that like got me through it. Otherwise I wouldn't even be here, and so it's finding that ability to see that lesson and to shift those perspectives into that positive. How can I see the light in the darkness?
Yes. And we have to be our own sunshine. It's going to be dark. It's going to be miserable. Let your light shine. Be the sunshine. And help everybody else along the way. That's my goal. I want to help everybody.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that's so important to, to see that, and to also, observe, other people's suffering too, and to have patience with that. We're so easily like, we are judging beings, right? Like we want our inclination is to want to judge people's perspective, but our inclination is also to have patience and love. So it's learning to shift to that place of patience and love, and understanding that like all these people may be going through those circumstances too. They may, that person that cut you off on the freeway, that pissed you off, may be having that dark night of the soul. Their father may have passed, or, all these things may have happened to them. But, our first instinct is, well, we're going to road rage this and feel like we're the victim or whatever. It's like, wait a minute. There may be way more going on here than we even realize. And if we can just back up and realize that we have the power right now to take charge of how we perceive this situation and empower ourselves through our perceptions. Okay, I'm not going to be the victim to, this person cutting me off and act in a place of road rage. No, I'm going to shift my perspective of the story, which is, what? Maybe something happened in their reality that is causing them to be in a very road ragey place. What? And if I give them my, unconditional love, that's the very best that I can do in this moment. And when I say that to myself, my inner guidance says, yes, that feels good. Do that. That's what's in alignment with you.
Yes, I think the key really, we've talked about a lot of things, and the key is understanding yourself, and being in alignment with it. And I know it's really hard to worry what everybody else thinks, but it's okay to be disliked by the people who aren't part of your journey. They're there as observers and critics, and that's okay. So Felicity, do you have some last minute words of wisdom that you would like to share with us?
Sure. Yeah. I want you to just learn to give yourself that unconditional love too, and to be patient with yourself through life. I mean, life can be so challenging. I haven't had a point where it isn't challenging for me, and one of the hardest things for me has been to be loving and compassionate towards myself. And I want you to know that we're all having difficulties in life, and just be patient and loving with yourself. And the more that you begin to tap in to your own guidance, your own knowingness, that you're going to begin to feel that deeper connection to, to that conscious energy that we're all a part of, right? This God energy, if you want to call it that, I don't know, universal energy, universal consciousness. I mean, to me, it's all the same thing. It's just conscious energy, right? But the thing is that when you tap into your own beingness, you tap into that oneness that we're all a part of. And when I started doing that, it started to make me feel less alone. And it started making me feel like, okay, not only do I feel less alone, but I feel like I got this. Like I feel like I'm getting guidance now. I feel connected. I feel in alignment. I know my answers. I know what feels right for me. And all that stuff starts making me feel so much better that, like I said, I really start feeling like, you know what, I got this. And I want you to feel that too. I want you to feel like, you know what, I got this.
Do you ever go through the doubts? Because I always say, as much as I feel like I'm on the path, I have my days. I have my days when I kind of struggle. This week's been one of them where you just like, oh my gosh, I'm exhausted. I don't know if I can keep doing this. And then you step back, but I know it's what I'm supposed to be doing. And
every day.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I'm dealing with, daily suffering. I'm dealing with a lot of pain and a lot of things going on. And so I have moments every day where I'm like, can I do this? And this is really hard. And I'm a single mother too. So, I don't have somebody else to be like, I got you, you can take the day off and not be an adult or a parent today or whatever. Nope. I am that person like every day. And so I have to pull it together, and I think the thing is that, we're always going to have doubts. We're always going to have moments where we don't know. And can we do this? And that's a part of life. Like that's a part of our human experience. And so don't take those doubts, those insecurities, those fears, those whatever, as it being a problem or that you're the only one experiencing it, because we're all experiencing it. We're all going through it, and it's okay. It's a part of human experience. And it's going to pass. My dad, he passed, but he used to always say to me, this too shall pass. And I want you to remember that, you know what, just put one foot in front of the other and take a step and then take another step, because in a few moments, it's going to get better, or in a few days, it's going to get better. But whatever it is, it's going to change. It's going to shift. It's going to improve. And you just need to get through this moment.
This too shall pass. Thank you so much, Felicity, for being here with us. Friend, Felicity and I are not medical or mental professionals. We are here for entertainment, people that truly love the universe and the people in it, and you are one of them. Stay tuned for the next episode.
Are you tired of waking up exhausted? You are not alone. If you're looking to take your life back, let's start with the simple step of adjusting your self-talk. Stay tuned for the next episode with your host, Lara Jane. Remember to follow the show so you don't miss a next simple step that you can use to feel more confident. And please leave an honest review.